This episode is about the case that everyone is whispering about. That's about the double homicide of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Reiner. A few days ago, both Rob and his wife, Michelle, were found brutally murdered. It was a grotesque scene, to say the least. And right out of the gate, everybody, I'm telling you, everybody on the left and on the right has said that they should have saw this coming. That Rob's son, Nick, because of how he looks, how he speaks, because of his mental state, all kinds of stuff, that he is absolutely guilty. He's been homeless, in and out of rehab, all this kind of stuff. And I'm leaning on the side of there could be a chance, granted a small chance, that Nick could be innocent. Welcome to Black Swan Revelations.
In a dark world, remember to be the light. Welcome to Black Swan Revelations. Here is your host, the Black Swan himself, Shane.
All right. You got to understand a little bit about how this channel works. I look into all types of conspiracies. I basically jump down different rabbit holes. And when I heard this one, when I heard this presented in the news, that this was a double homicide and this was just a horrible scene. I believe the daughter was the one that actually turned in her brother Nick. So we're going to start uncovering more details because I'm going to show some clips. But again, right now, as far as I know, I am the only one that is saying that there could be a chance that Nick could be innocent. Everyone else, and I want to be clear in saying this, so I don't want to get other people into trouble to say that they're on my side. They're not. Nobody's on my side right now. Everyone, especially the media, is saying that this is a slam dunk. We have two people that are murdered. We have a son that has a form of addiction. He's been in and out of rehab. And apparently, allegedly, there was an altercation a few nights ago. And somebody overheard them talking. Therefore, ergo, Nick did it. Nick did it. So I'm going to start presenting a case that perhaps there's more to the story that meets the eye. But in order for me to start building the case, I'm not a lawyer or anything like that. I just go off of my hunch. And again, I'm the only one. Am I doing this for clicks and views? No, because it's very difficult to go against the grain like this, to be the guy that's like standing out when people are saying he is the only one that is saying, that is suggesting that perhaps there's more to this story than meets the eye. He's the only one right now. So sometimes if you're a first mover, you take most of the hits. You take most of the licking. But I go off of my hunch. And we're going to build, we're going to start to build a possible case. And obviously I may not be able to solve this before a court hearing and all this kind of stuff. But I want to introduce some ideas that perhaps will make you think twice, because that's my goal. is to make you think twice, because when the entire media, the entire population says guilty, and they're all looking in this direction, what I do is I look in this direction and I say, what are we missing here? What is the black swan here that we're not seeing? Because that's what this case is. It's 100% slam dunk that this guy's guilty. He has to be guilty. Everybody's saying that. So I'm looking at it from the perspective of what are we missing? So let's go to the first news clip of, I'm sure will be many news clips, but let's just start with this one and get some context of what happened. So this is was this CBS, I believe? All right, let's just TMZ. Let's have a look here, what they have to say.
Social media post from a TMZ. It says LAPD releases Nick Reiner arrest photos in murders of Rob and Michelle Reiner. This comes as Los Angeles police set to present a case to prosecutors today following Nick's arrest in the killings of his parents. Joining us now to discuss this with the live report is Mario Ramirez over at Fox 11 in Los Angeles. Mario.
Hi, Carell. Good morning to you. We know charges have not yet officially been brought against 32-year-old Nick Reiner. We can tell you 24 hours ago, we were at the home in Brentwood where Rob and Michelle were stabbed to death. They were discovered Sunday afternoon, and we know that this morning, Nick is expected to appear in court here downtown. As early as this morning, we're still waiting for those official charges, which should come as early as this morning. Now, police say their youngest son, Nick Reiner, is now the focus of this murder investigation. It'll soon be in the hands of prosecutors. Authorities confirming the 32-year-old.
Just so you know, Nick is on the right. That's Rob on the left, his wife, Michelle, and then I believe that's the daughter that turned in, or that called the police, as far as I know, to report that Nick was the one that actually murdered the parents. So that's as much as I know right now. So this is why we're watching some of this stuff here.
Was arrested Sunday night on suspicion of stabbing both his parents to death inside their Brentwood home. The couple, Rob Reiner, 78, and Michelle Singer Reiner, 68, found dead Sunday afternoon by their daughter, Romy, according to reports from TMZ. And Nick wasn't at the house when police arrived. Detectives believe he left sometime after the attacks, and the night before, he was seen at a holiday party, Conan O'Brien's Christmas party, where an argument reportedly broke out between father and son. And we know that Nick's struggle with addiction and mental health issues has been apparent for years. Meanwhile, TMZ also reporting that after that argument Saturday night, Nick checked into a Santa Monica hotel early Sunday morning before the attacks, and he was taken into custody eventually Sunday night around 9:15. So, Carell, we can tell you that Nick is currently in custody. He's being held at the Twin Towers Correctional Facility, which is just down the street from the court.
Okay. So Nick was arrested. He wasn't at the scene of the crime. Allegedly, there was an argument before. And so right now, the media is like the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, by Nick, their son, Nick. Like, this is right away the narrative of this is a done deal. It's presented. Even though there have been no charges laid, they're already assuming that he's guilty right out of the gate. So let's just go to this next clip here. All right, this is another clip from Fox 4. Again, I want you to think about this. This is basically they're describing what's happened so far, and this was just over a day ago, maybe arguably 2 days ago. So I want you to listen to how this is presented.
A story that really is shaking, I would say Hollywood, but really shaking the country because it's the death of popular actor and producer Rob Reiner and his wife. His son, their son, I should say, now in custody.
Right. And so this has kind of been developing, new information coming in throughout the day. We want to bring in TMZ's Michael Babcock with the latest on this investigation. You guys are now reporting that it was their daughter that found her parents.
Morning, Shannon. Hi, Lauren. Yeah, just an incredibly
And again, this is TMZ again.
sad and tragic story. We have, over the last few hours here, learned a good deal of new information about what allegedly happened, really starting Saturday night and then obviously into yesterday afternoon when, like you said, Shannon, at about 3:30 of one of their other children.
So now Nick is arrested and held on $4 million bail. This is a developing story.
Their son, Nick, who is 32 years old, he is currently in custody. Unclear exactly why he's being held, but it is in connection to the deaths of his mom and dad. But yesterday, he has a sibling, a sister, and we have been told that.
So he's held. They're not sure why he's held, but they're saying this ties in with the murder of Nick, of Rob and Michelle.
About 3:30, she found her parents, called 911. Tragically, at that point, it was too late. There was nothing that could be done to save Rob or Michelle, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, this just, an awful story. We're looking more into Nick, the 32-year-old that was, is being held right now.
Yeah.
I saw that he has had, I mean, years since like his 15th birthday, I think it said was the first time that he was taken to a rehab facility, and that.
So right out of the gate, they're starting the narrative, and it's being presented time and time again that this guy's been in and out of rehab. You're going to hear stories of he was homeless. You're going to hear stories of he had an argument with his dad. What person hasn't had an argument in their lifetime with their parents? He wasn't at the scene of the crime. He had a hotel somewhere else. He was at a Conan O'Brien party on, I believe it was either Friday or Saturday night. But the narrative starts to get built up where it's because of mental illness. And we're going to see this theme. Like it keeps creeping in there. Murder, mental illness, put them together, case closed.
It had been like dozens of visitors, or dozens of visits rather, to other rehabilitation facilities over the years as well. So, but at the same point, like him and his dad, they made a movie together. So like I look at this and I'm like, clearly they had a connection. But this is just, I mean,
Exactly. Like I mentioned before, they worked on a movie together. Let me just call up this movie real quick here. So these are the movies. These are the movies that that Rob Reiner has worked on. Spinal Tap, Sure Thing, Stand By Me, great show. The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, great movie. Few Good Men, North, The American President, Ghosts of Mississippi, The Story of Us, Alex and Emma, Rumor Has It, The Bucket List, Flipped, Magic of Belle Island, and So It Goes. Being Charlie, which is the one that was mentioned that Rob and Nick co-wrote together, which is interesting. And they worked on it together for over, I think it was over a couple of years. 1 year to write the script and then another year to actually film it. And they worked together. Like Nick was on the set all the time and they did interviews together, tons of interviews. And maybe we'll show some of those interviews, but there's no hint that they did not get along, is my point. So let's go to another, let's continue with TMZ here, this little interview. So again, a little bit of the context or the narrative here is people are kind of surprised that, hey, these guys worked on projects together and got along. So this is a little bit surprising, but he's been in and out of rehab.
To see this turn of events is just sad.
No, I agree, Lauren. And, to your point, they did make a movie together. I was watching interviews that they did, obviously after the tragic incident yesterday and looking into his son, into Nick, and they had the project that they made that I think by accounts was pretty good and well received. They did a lot of interviews together. It seemed like they had a loving relationship. So to consider what might have happened, obviously we're not yet completely sure here, but
Exactly. That's something to think about. This might happen and it might not have happened.
to consider what might have happened. It's just awful. We were told, and it's relevant to their relationship and where they might have been right now, they went Saturday night to Conan O'Brien's holiday party. It's something he throws every year, and you get a lot of celebrity friends who go over and they have this big party where they all have a nice time. Well, Rob Reiner went this year with his wife, Michelle, but they also brought Nick with them. We have been told that there was a blowout fight at Conan O'Brien's party.
So now it's a blowout fight. Before it was an argument, so now it's a blowout fight, again, to build up the narrative that this is a cause or a motive for Nick to kill both his parents.
On Saturday night, where it got so bad or so intense that Rob and Michelle left. Unclear if Nick left, but Rob and Michelle left the party because they got into this fight with Nick. And then obviously less than 24 hours later, we know, tragically what happened to them. And
so it's unclear that Nick left with them. If Nick left with them, then it's kind of weird, right? To have an argument and then all three of you leave together. They brought Nick to the party, and it's unclear because that doesn't help the narrative to say that Nick left with them, so they're leaving that out.
Now, as there is some evidence to at least indicate that he may have had something to do with it, I think it kind of puts that argument into focus. And
it's not evidence right now, right out of the gate. That's not evidence. To say that you've had an argument 24 hours before, you may or may not have left the party, and you weren't at the scene of the crime, but you guys were at the party together. You've had a relationship together. That's not evidence to say that he would have murdered Rob and his wife, Michelle.
They were not in a good place. We've been told that they were at wit's end, for lack of a better term, with what to do with Nick and how to help him. And they loved their son very much, but they just didn't know where to turn.
That's why they brought him to a party that was hosted by Conan O'Brien. And there's Rob Reiner. He used to be on All in the Family. He was called Mike, and Archie would call him Meathead.
And it just paints a picture of a parents and a son who were really in crisis with one another.
Yeah, that movie was called Being Charlie, and I bring it back up because it is Nick writing about himself based on his experience with addiction, with homelessness as well. He even told People magazine that he was homeless in Maine, homeless in New Jersey. He was homeless in Texas. He said he spent nights on the street, weeks on the street. And it does seem like that they would keep going to him and trying to get him help, trying to get him on the right page. I just think of so many parents who probably have been in this same boat where they're.
So they're basing it off this movie that Nick wrote based on his life. And they've done press conference after press conference together. And they worked on writing this script together. And now they're using this to tie in to say, see, he wrote a movie about this addiction. So we're going to tie this together. And it's weird. Let's just go to another clipping here. Let's find another one, because you can see I'm building the narrative a little bit of what they're saying, and they're using words like evidence. It's clear that we can put these two together in the same basket, but I'm here to say it's not clear. So this is a clip from CBC News.
This morning about the shocking, sudden and violent deaths of legendary film director Rob Reiner and his wife. A spokesperson for the Reiner family says the couple was found dead in their Los Angeles home yesterday. Reports say they were stabbed. Reiner spent decades in the film industry, starting out in front of the camera.
Well, what would our leaving solve? I mean, with or without protesters, this country would still have the same problems.
What problems?
Well, it's the war, the racial problem, the economic problem, the pollution problem.
Oh, come on, if you want to nitpick.
That's Reiner in the classic sitcom All in the Family. He was the son of the Hollywood great Carl Reiner. Now, behind the scenes, Reiner created iconic films such as This Is Spinal Tap, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, to name a few. Reiner and his wife were also high-profile political activists. First responders found them dead yesterday afternoon. And journalist Steve Futterman is tracking the latest for us on this. He joins us now near Reiner's home in Brentwood area of Los Angeles. So, Steve, what is the latest from police on this?
Well, Arthi, a few hours ago, we had police tape, and this area was cordoned off. The home where all this took place is right behind me, maybe 100 meters behind me. This is the street where Rob Reiner lived, but police have apparently ended their investigation here. They've taken down that yellow police tape, and we've been allowed into this area right now. But as you mentioned, this all began yesterday afternoon when authorities were called to the scene. They found the two bodies inside the house, Rob Reiner and his wife. Now, LA police officials have not officially formally said that it's Rob Reiner and his wife. They are going to possibly make that announcement later today, but it's been confirmed by the family, so there's no doubt about who it is. Big question, who is the perpetrator? Now, there have been numerous media reports suggesting that one of the key suspects right now is Rob Reiner's son, 32-year-old Nick. He has had mental health challenges in the past.
So again, Nick Reiner, suspect. There's rumors that he's a suspect. And of course, he's got mental illness. So of course they got to go down that road because he's mentally ill. He has mental illness. Did you know he made a movie about mental illness, about addiction? So that's why they arrest, like they keep throwing this in to that, even though he's a suspect, but that's it. They toss in the mental illness to educate you and to let you know that, hey, whoa. This guy was in and out of rehab for a lot of years, and he wrote a movie about it. And so he's most likely the guy that did it.
He's been very open about drug and alcohol problems. So he is a person, at least that authorities are talking with right now. He has not been formally charged. Now let's take a look.
So again, this is key. He's not been formally charged. But the narrative, when you go one news outlet after another, that this guy definitely is a high suspect because he's got mental illness. And they had an argument.
Listen to a bit more of what police had to say at their news conference last night.
There are going to be many family members interviewed. I'm not going to confirm whether someone's being interviewed at this time or not. We're going to try to speak to every family member that we can to get to the facts of this investigation. We've already been talking to the neighbors. We've already been canvassing the neighborhood and speaking to residents that live around this area, so that's part of our investigation.
Now, authorities want to get the medical examiner's report, the coroner's report. We believe there will be preliminary autopsy results from both Rob Reiner and his wife later today. That will give us the details of how they died. We've been told by many sources that these were stab wounds, but it may give us more clues about exactly what happened. And police have said once that medical report, the coroner's report, the autopsies are released, they will have a lot more to tell us. Possibly they may want to officially name Rob Reiner and his wife and maybe go into where their investigation is leading them right now.
So when we're talking about that, where does the investigation go from here, Steve?
Well, I think one of the key things is they're going to try to figure out whoever did this, why this person did this, what may have triggered them, were there some problems, were there some warnings?
See, and the thing on this slide, it says, son is a suspect. You can't do that stuff right out of the gate. I get it. It's a media outlet, but you're kind of, it's almost like you're contaminating the jury, if you will, because you're saying this in one newslet after another that this guy, the son, is a suspect. And if you keep doing that, you're going to eventually convince people and say yes, because you guys have mentioned it so many times that this guy is guilty.
Did Rob Reiner and his wife have some warnings that there might be some discord in their social life, maybe, like I said, in the family? So these are key things they're going to try to find out. They will do an intense investigation, and obviously we do expect at some point charges will be brought against the person who's eventually accused of killing Rob Reiner and his wife. But today, Arthi, just sadness throughout Hollywood. Rob Reiner was such a popular person. He had a great career. We know his body of work, beginning with All in the Family in the early 1970s, that landmark show, and then the many films that he directed, including some classics, When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, some memorable films and memorable performances by Rob Reiner.
Thanks for the latest, Steve. That is journalist Steve Futterman in Los Angeles.
All right. So we're going to show at least one more clip, because I think I want to build the context a little bit, but because this is how it's being framed to the public right now. We're not sure. Allegedly, suspect, addictions, all this kind of stuff. All right, this is an interesting thread here. On the night, I think it was on the night or the night before, the night of the murder, a couple was going to have dinner with Rob and his wife, Michelle Reiner. So let's see who this couple is.
We've known them for many, many years, and we were supposed to be seeing them that night, last night.
The plot gets thicker. Now we have Michelle and Barack Obama that were supposed to meet with them for dinner.
Michelle Obama with an eerie confession on Jimmy Kimmel Live, revealing she and her husband, Barack Obama, were meant to meet up with Rob and Michelle Reiner on Sunday, the day the Hollywood couple was killed, allegedly by their own son, Nick, who's now in police custody.
Allegedly by their own son. So take Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, put them on the shelf for now. Maybe we'll come back and visit. But they were going to have dinner with them on the day of that Rob and his wife Michelle got murdered, allegedly by his son. And if you look at this picture here, does that look like they have any ill towards each other? Again, they spent a year writing a script on a movie together. And they were, like I said, Nick was on the set all the time, welcomed on the set with Rob. Rob appreciated, and I'm going to show some of those interviews, but I'm trying to build a little bit of context here that perhaps everything is not as it seems here.
It's sad anytime somebody, goes too soon,
Rob and Michelle Reiner are some of the most decent, courageous people you ever want to know. They're not deranged or crazed. They were the kind of people who were ready to put
It's kind of weird to say. They're not deranged or crazy.
Their actions behind what they cared about. And they cared about their family, and they cared about this country, and they cared about fairness and equity. And that is the truth. I do know them.
The former First Lady hitting back there at the current president, Donald Trump, who showed no sympathy for the actor-director and his family, who were vocal critics of the administration, by blaming his death on Trump derangement syndrome on Truth Social.
Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. Trump.
Wow. And that's why Michelle said that he was not deranged, probably because of what Trump said. Something, I don't know. It's weird, right?
Derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country.
When people...
So if you're not a fan, could Donald Trump be a suspect? Not a fan, never liked the guy more than the son. We don't have any indication that the son didn't like the father. But we have an indication right now that the president, one of the most powerful men in the universe, or in the world, is Donald Trump. And now he's saying, I never liked the guy, and I'm not backing down on that. Find that interesting. Put that on the shelf.
Say horrible things about Rob right now. I find it, quite frankly, infuriating.
Conservative actor James Woods, a longtime Trump supporter, standing up for his friend on Fox News.
I knew Rob Reiner because at a very, very down point in my career, Rob literally saved my career and really put me back on track in a way that was so important and rewarding in my life. We did Ghosts of Mississippi together, and I went from really being basically out of a job to getting an Academy Award nomination, and I give all the credit to Rob.
This is all we have right now, is this moment.
Wow. Okay. All right, so clearly Rob has meant a lot to a lot of people. And it's interesting, and I'm asking you to put the motive of Donald Trump, why he doesn't like Rob, and it sounds like he had Trump derangement syndrome. So we're going to put that on the shelf for now. I'm going to leave you with this because I want you to be back. I want you to come back to my show the next day. So I want to leave you with this. There is going to be a trial. This could be considered the trial of the century. Don't know yet, but there's going to be a trial. And the person that is actually going to be taking on this case to defend Nick Reiner is none other than Alan Jackson. If you don't know who this guy is, let me just show you a little clip.
Live, some news out of Southern California concerning Nick Reiner, who is facing 2 charges of murder for the deaths of his mother and father, Rob and Michelle Reiner. Alan Jackson is now representing Nick Reiner. He, of course, is the attorney who a lot of us watched during the Karen Reed case. He's as high profile as it gets in Los Angeles. And according to Alan Jackson, he says that his client will not be in court today, Tuesday, for medical reasons. Jackson told reporters outside of the courthouse that he didn't know the medical reasons, what the issue was, but said that his client, Nick Reiner, will not appear before Wednesday. Alan Jackson just coming on board on this case. Our Cody Thomas is at the LA courthouse. We'll have more throughout the day as...
All right, so this may not sound like a big deal, but you have to know a little bit about Alan Jackson. He does not take on cases that he doesn't think he's going to win, whether that means the evidence is a little bit shaky, it's a little bit forceful, whether or not the scene of the crime was contaminated, whatever it is. Out of all the people on the planet that you can have to be on your side, it's Alan Jackson. So this is the guy that's like, if you want to get people off, you get guys like Tom Cruise, A Few Good Men, all this kind of stuff. You know, obviously that's a movie, but this is that type of scenario where you bring in the tippity top, the cream of the crop, the best lawyer that money can buy to defend Nick. And again, he only takes cases that he thinks he can win. So if he's taking a case like this, you got to ask yourself, why would he take a case? It can't be just about the money. Because if 100% of the media is saying he's guilty, Nick is guilty as charged, and Alan Jackson comes on board, I'm telling you, 2026 is going to be something else for this guy. And I'm predicting right now that he's going to get off. That's my prediction. And you're hearing it first. Nobody else on the internet is saying that this guy is innocent. And I don't know the whole story of Nick, but I'm telling you, you have now a component here that is going to help build this narrative that perhaps, just perhaps, Nick Reiner is not guilty. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.